children, and welcome to Storytime with Avant-garde Books. I'm Sherry Hardy, and I hope that you and your family are well. Tonight, I will be reading Moses, when Harriet Tubman led her people to freedom. This book was written by Carole Boston Weatherford, and it was illustrated by Kadir Nelson. If you have a copy of the book, feel free to read along with me, but if you don't, just make sure that you're in a very comfortable place and you're relaxed so that you can listen to Moses when Harriet Tubman led her people to freedom. Forward. Slavery is a practice in which one person, known as a master, is allowed through customs or even laws to own another human being. From 1619 to 1865, Africans and their descendants were enslaved in colonial America and the United States. This was the first time in history that enslavement was based solely on skin color. As property, slaves in the United States had no rights. A person born a slave was a slave for life and was forced to work long hours at sometimes dangerous tasks. Slaves who disobeyed could be severely punished. Further, slaves could be sold by one master to another. Such sales often separated slave families forever. Many states forbade slaves to learn to read and write. Slaves had almost no chance of improving themselves or their living conditions. In 1820, there were about 1.5 million slaves in the United States. By 1861, the slave population had risen to more than 4 million. Slaves were stirred by sermons about the ancient Israelites' journey out of Egypt and drew hope from African American spirituals, songs that sometimes contained coded messages to aid escapes. Somewhere between 40,000 and 100,000 slaves escaped to freedom through a loose network of helpers and hideaways known as the Underground Railroad. On a summer night, Harriet gazes at the sky and talks with God. I am your child, Lord, yet Master owns me, drives me like a mule. Now he means to sell me south in chains to work cotton, rice, indigo, or sugarcane, never to see my family again. God speaks in a whippoorwill song. I set the North Star in the heavens, and I mean for you to be free. Harriet sees the star twinkling. My mind is made up. I flee. Tomorrow. God wraps her in the blanket of night, and she returns to the cabin, sleep beside her husband one last time. The next day, Harriet tells not a soul her plans. She grips the axe to chop wood, breathes deeply, and murmurs, Lord, I'm going to hold steady onto you. And God whispers back in the breeze, I'm going to see you through, child. At dusk, Harriet chants, when that old chariot comes, I'm going to leave you. She hopes her loved ones hear her song and know it means farewell. When the plantation sleeps, Harriet prays, Lord, send me a sign. Owl screeches, the hour has come. Harriet slips into the night. Running through the swamp, she hears frogs croaking and her own heart pounding. Lord, I can't make it alone. In the moon's reflection on the creek, she sees God's face. Harriet, you dream that saints save you, but mortals will give you refuge. The woman in the wagon who always spoke kindly to me. Yes, Harriet, I must go to her. The woman points Harriet to safe havens, hiding places for runaways, and Harriet steals away into darkness. She creeps through the woods. Her heart flutters. Hush! Hoofbeats. Please, Lord, don't let them catch me and take me back to face Master's will. Don't let my journey end here. In the underbrush, Harriet sinks into a deep sleep. God cradles her. When she wakes, the men on horseback have passed, and day breaks. Thank you, Lord, for watching over me. In the clearing, the safe haven, Harriet knows that most strangers would turn her in, not help her. But the farmer's wife feeds Harriet, then tells her to sweep the yard. I don't know who to trust, Lord. Search for my face in theirs, and for my hands in their work. What have you in your hands? In a dust cloud, she sees the broom become a staff, then a rifle. Harriet startles but holds on. I will arm you against your enemies, but you will not harm a soul, and no harm will come to you. The dust settles as she stops sweeping, and all is as it was. At nightfall, Harriet climbs into a wagon, and the farmer covers her with blankets. As the wagon wobbles along, Harriet worries that it is heading to jail. Should I leap, Lord? Trust me to protect you, child. A heart song lulls her to sleep. Swing low, sweet chariot. The wagon stops at dawn. Harriet walks till her legs ache. Then she leans against a tree. Lord, I miss my folks. Harriet, your father taught you to read the stars, predict the weather, gather wild berries, and make cures from roots. Use his lessons to be free. You will meet again. A mosquito buzzes in Harriet's ear. She rises and moves on. A boatman rows her upriver. Back on shore, hounds snarl, sniff for Harriet's trail. She races as fast as she can. Lord, I can't outrun them. God speaks through a bubbling brook. Shed your shoes, wade in the water to trick the dogs. Upstream, the barking ceases and fear washes away. Thank you, Lord. Harriet's feet bleed and her gut churns. Under the stars, she draws near to God. Lord, don't let nobody turn me round. I'd rather die than be a slave. Harriet, keep going. You have already glimpsed freedom, the future. She recalls dreams where she flew like a bird, sank, and was lifted by ladies in white who pulled her north. Fly, Harriet, your faith has wings. Up ahead, she hears word that patrollers are nabbing runaways and crouches for days in a potato hole, dreams she is buried alive. Have you deserted me, Lord? Harriet, when you were a girl, you hid in a pig pen to shun the whip. You fought hogs for table scraps, almost starved before you faced the lash. I am with you now as I was then. An old prayer comes back to her. Lord, make me strong. Help me fight. As far as you can walk with me, my child, and I can carry you. After 7 days, Harriet rises from that hole like a sapling, reaches for the sun as if to touch God's hand. By moonlight, she marches on, making her way mile after rugged mile, hiding in haystacks, attics, and barns, holding God's hand all the while. She often wearies. How far, Lord? When Harriet is about to drop, a couple in a wagon ride by. They say slavery is a sin, and they take her on the last leg of her journey. Not far now, child, not far now. In the promised land, Philadelphia, the sun shines gold in the trees, and Harriet feels light as a cloud. She studies herself from head to toe to see if she has wings. Is this heaven, Lord? Not heaven, Harriet. Free soil. But freedom brings new woes. Lord, I'm a stranger here. All my kin are down south. Would you like to see them? As Harriet dusts, her family's faces appear in the wood grain. She wipes a tear from the table. I would make a home for them here. I would give them my own life to free them. Then go back for them, daughter. But first, go to my house to prepare for the journey. And Harriet goes to church, finds not just holy ground, but a stopping place, a station along the Underground Railroad that slaves traveled to freedom. Harriet hands out shirts and shoes, serves butterbeans and biscuits to newly arrived runaways, while agents who plot escape paths pass on secret routes that she learns by heart. Finally, a conductor, a guide, she turns to God. I am ready, Lord. Lead me. Harriet, I will make a way for you. Risking her own life, Harriet returns to the dreaded South and rescues her family. But she dreams of slaves still in the yoke. She hears their groans, sees their tears, tosses and turns in her sleep. Then God opens her eyes. Harriet, be the Moses of your people. But I am lonely. I am a lowly woman, Lord. Harriet, I have blessed you with a strong body, a clever mind. You heal the sick and see the future. Use your gifts to break the chains. I will do as you say, Lord. I will show others the way to freedom that you have shown me. Save all you can, daughter. And Harriet heeds God's call, goes south again and again, keeps her bands of runaways moving, come storms and rough country, clear to Canada, Canaan land. And when free souls sing her praises, she gives glory where it is due. It wasn't me. It was the Lord. I always trust him to lead me, and he always does. Well done, Moses. Well done. Wow, boys and girls, that wonderful story was Moses when Harriet Tubman led her people to freedom. This was written by Carole Boston Weatherford, and it was illustrated by Kadir Nelson. Boys and girls, have a wonderful evening. Take care.